Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. Reggae Girls team manager Jean Nelson passes. Former footballer and national senior women's football team manager Jean Nelson has died. She passed on Saturday after a short period of illness. Nelson, a former Jamaica Women's Football Association president, was one of the persons responsible for the formation of the National Women's League in the 1990s. She was also the team manager for the Reggae Girls throughout the FIFA Women's World Cup Championship, which culminated in the team's debut at the final in France in 2019. Usually, when the anthem plays, I close my eyes because it's so deep, so I expect it to be very touching. Nelson was quoted as saying regarding to the national anthem before games, "I have always wanted to serve my country. It's fulfilling, it's an honor." The Jamaica Football Federation says Nelson was a stalwart and a giant in her support of women's football. The JFF sends condolences to her family and friends, and especially the Reggae Girls who have lost a matriarch. May her soul rest in entire peace, the JFF said in a press release on Sunday. Accused pedophile charged with multiple sex offenses. A man has been arrested and charged with several sexual offenses by detectives assigned to the Clarendon Center for the Investigation of Sexual Offenses and Child Abuse, Sissoko. Charged is 35-year-old Dwayne Campbell, a labor of Bucknam Pen in Clarendon. He is charged with 4 counts of rape, 5 counts of abduction of child under 16, 4 counts of grievous sexual assault, 2 counts of knowingly producing child pornography, 2 counts of possession of child pornography, and 2 counts of possession of child pornography with intent. According to Sissoko detectives, Campbell is accused of repeatedly using social media platforms to lure children between the ages of 10 and 15 to his home, where he treated them and forced them to provide sexual activities. In many instances, the sexual activities were recorded, the Jamaica Constabulary Force JCF said in a statement on social media. During the investigation, it was also discovered that Campbell's alleged victims were reported missing at some time, including from other parishes. The Clarendon Police, in the meantime, are appealing to parents whose female children went missing and who may have been victims of similar circumstances to contact them. Sissoko is also urging parents and guardians to continuously monitor the social media use of children under their care. 10 people arrested for breach of DRMA. Police team headed Superintendent Hopton Nicholson, head of operations for the St. Catherine South Division, arrested 10 people for breaches of the Disaster Risk Management Act on Saturday, September 11, during increased operational activities in the division. Another 10 persons were warned for prosecution as well. Following simultaneous operations in Newlands, Nuggerhead and on Port Hennessy Road between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. Campion College sixth form in full swing while others await CSEC results. Classes have already started for sixth form students at Campion College, one of Jamaica's most prestigious high schools, despite the recent announcement by CXC that results will not be available before early to mid-October. But while many Jamaican parents and students anxiously await the results of the external examinations, sixth form students at Campion College have already completed their first full week of classes. We actually started classes on September 6, the first day of the new school year, said the principal of Campion College, Grace Boston, when contacted by a reporter on Friday morning. All 160 spaces in the sixth form have been filled and classes are in full swing. Grace stated that the decision to start sixth form classes early, which was first taken last year, was influenced in part by the COVID-19 pandemic, the delayed results from the CSEC, as well as the reduced preparation time for CAPE exams. What is driving is the recognition that the preparation time for the CAPE exams is already limited because the exams have been brought forward, stated Grace. She noted that previously, the period for external exams started in June, with only orals applied in May, and with the exam period ending in July. Now these students start their exams at the start of May, so it cuts back on the time that their teachers have for them. The impetus here is recognize that the children already have a limited time. We cannot afford to start the CAPE syllabus a month late. That is out of the question, Grace explained. With that in mind, we decided that we know our students and we let their parents know that we're going to work with what we call a predictive grades for them, the administrator added. Grace said 3 factors are considered using the predictive grading system. We use the children's GPA, grade point average, which is a reflection of their strength generally as a student coming through Campion. We consider the grades their teachers predicted for them in the exams. Every teacher is required to do that. And we also take into consideration their overall performance over 4th and 5th form grades detailed. She also noted that school-based assessment (SBAs) are also factored into this approach. Those are the 3 things, and we used that because we couldn't use any one thing. We were not going to go strictly with what a teacher says a child will get, even though we figured the teacher do their best for their students, Grace explained further. Continuing, she said with that we created the profile of what we expect them to get on the exam, and it is really a profile about how strong a candidate they are for 6th form if we internally have to decide it. The Campion College principal said the school then posts the result and there is an online application process after which students are assigned. Classes are in full swing, she emphasized. Grace highlighted that the COVID-19 pandemic played a major role in the school going that route in 2020. What is driving it is a delay in the release of CSEC results. Apart from the delay, Grace cited that Campion did not have confidence in those results. In other words, the CXC had chosen a format of the exam which was only the multiple choice paper, and we were concerned about the validity and the reliability of those results, so we decided to go ahead with the school's internal predictive grades. A truer picture of a child's academic strength would be seen what the school provided, not an exam based on a multiple choice paper, Grace insisted. With Campion having perhaps the most competitive 6th form among high schools in Jamaica, just how is the administration able to fill the 160 available spaces? It's rough. First of all, we have 220 students, and normally we can only take 160, especially in the science program, which is always oversubscribed. Everybody wants to do chemistry, physics, and biology. Those classes are jam-packed, Grace stated. Additionally, Campion, like other traditional high schools in Jamaica, have candidates from outside who apply for 6th form. Grace described the outsiders as strong candidates. She explained also that not all 220 students apply for 6th form, as some move on to other territory level programs, including overseas, so it works out. Suffering in lockdown. Investors across several sectors are calling on the government to rethink its infection control strategies employed to counter the rapid spread of COVID-19, as the no-movement days are sending them to the brink of bankruptcy. A sharp increase in coronavirus infections, hospitalizations, and deaths since the Jamaica independence celebrations in August resulted in the government implementing stricter measures that included 4 consecutive weekends of 3 days lockdowns, longer curfew hours, and businesses closing earlier. The measures are in place until September 14 unless there is an extension. With over 74,000 infection cases and approximately 1,700 deaths, and those numbers increasing rapidly with the Delta and MU variant now in Jamaica, Prime Minister Andrew Holness said the country can expect tight restrictions until the numbers trend down to an acceptable level. But popular Montego Bay businessman Sunil Danivangani, who has been operating several businesses along the North Coast for the past 25 years, says no business can survive on 3.5 days of commercial activities. We are suffering a lot because we are not making enough over 3.5 days to cover our expenses, he stated. In fact, the way the lockdowns are being done is creating more harm than good because markets, banks, and supermarkets are jam-packed on the movement days, creating a greater super spreader environment. Van Gundy, who was forced to close his ultra restaurant and operation last year as the pandemic intensified, is hoping that the lockdowns will not extend beyond September 14. This is the general view of the Indian community. We are not impressed, said Van Gundy. This is my home now. I am not an immigrant anymore, and we are having a hard time predicting future business. He added it would have been more effective for a 1-week lockdown and then allow movement to resume. Outgoing president of the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, Richard Pandoni, agreed that Andrew Holness' administration needs to go back to the drawing board. The frustration is not so much the lockdowns, which I do not think are sustainable, Richard said, but the fact that we just don't seem to have a coherent strategy moving forward. Richard, who is also the CEO of Sepron Limited, said Jamaica continues to be reactive to the development of the pandemic, despite getting a preview of what to expect before the virus got to our shores. We saw the impact in Europe, but we continue to operate in a retroactive way, even though we have the benefit of insight from other countries' reviews of what is expected, he said. The sight of large crowds of people cramming together trying to transact business on movement days has been frustrating for Richard, who argued that the rate of COVID-19 infection is at critical level, which could have seen companies unable to produce at maximum levels because they do not have enough workforce. We have to work with the government to get over this hurdle, even for the hours to be extended on the days that are available to prevent the overcrowding and chaos, he noted. We are now on the CDC list, and if this continues, it is just a matter of time before we are all red circled by everybody. The Center for Disaster Control and Prevention, CDC, has placed Jamaica at level 4 in its traveling advisory, stating that if travel to the Caribbean island is not necessary, it should be avoided because the country is spiraling COVID cases. Tourism contributed 9.8% to Jamaica's gross domestic product in 2019, and according to Statistical Institute of Jamaica, there was a 24.2% decline in employment in 2020 caused by the pandemic when compared to persons in July 2019. Former hoteler and chairman of the Tourism Enhancement Fund TEF, Godfrey Dyer, has no doubt that the government had to take some action to curb the spiraling COVID numbers, but he is hoping the measures will be relaxed after next week. We have not seen the results. If the current lockdown help, we might have to wait, but if the government had to do something, I suppose what was done, Dyer said. But I think we should take a break and just have the lockdown at night and watch it over the next few weeks to see what happens. We should not continue with this beyond what is already announced. The tourism sector was not impacted significantly by the no movement days, when Dyer credits to the tourism minister and the creation of the resilient corridor. He believes the CDC's advisory could affect the arrival number in the short term, but argues that Jamaica's reputation as a top tourism destination can still attract the 53% of American population that is fully vaccinated. In the meantime, locals will have their part to play to restore Jamaica's favorable rating, he said. It is going to be a challenge for players in the shipping and logistics sector when the measures are relaxed, as during the days to operate, warehouses were forced to restrict transactions to a mere 150 daily. The government's decision to give a blight to players in the entertainment sector last month is being blamed for the recent surge in COVID-19 cases, but popular Western Jamaican comedian and CEO of Ultimate Performance Stage Theatre, Curly Roberts, said artistic expressions such as roots plays are what Jamaicans need in these times. Our last and biggest production had to come to a halt because of the COVID measures, leaving the entire cast and production team out of work, Roberts explained. Additionally, we would need several months of shows to actually start seeing back some amount of profit. He added, when someone can walk up to you after a show and say someone in my family died and just coming and watching your play, or a stand-up comedian was the ideal therapy, that is worth a weight in gold. The rapid increase in COVID-19 cases will never be a source of comedic relief for Roberts, but he hopes future decisions will not be beneficial to some and a hindrance to others. He hopes lessons will be learned from the recent missteps and greater care will be taken to ensure that all Jamaicans get an opportunity to earn while the fight against this continues to get rid of public enemy number 1, COVID-19. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.